Hi everyone, my name is Erin Elizabeth Weinberg. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you're new here. Today we have a tarot reading because it is 2/22 or 22/2, February 22nd of February. So on these repeating numbers, I like to just do short little mini readings for you. Just a quick little 10-minute-ish message to give you, a little boost in the right direction, give you some positive energy, help reframe maybe some things that are going on in this wonderful thing called life that we participate in. Okay, I have 3 groups for you today. I've inserted a picture. You can pick by the card you can see, by the number, whatever resonates for you. All the timestamps are below, and when you're ready, I'll see you with the reading that you chose. Hi everyone, welcome. It's for everyone who picked group number 1. So you all picked the card 18, Our Lady of the Resurrection. Really beautiful imagery. I love this deck very much, but this card in particular talks about just a good reminder that, before our physical death, before we leave this plane, we die. Those of us who are doing spiritual work, those of us that want to grow on the soul level, expand in that way, we go through many, many, many ego deaths. We go through the deaths of circumstances in our life, of certain relationships, of things changing, just like this emotional death that we all deal with. And, a lot of times, because the human mind likes to cling, likes to hold on to what's familiar, likes to have these things that, they kind of resonate in that way of just like, oh, this is for me, this is for me, this is for me, and it feels good, or it's serving me, so I want to have it around in my life forever, but that's not actually sustainable. So this card is just a reminder that, there always is life after death, just these beautiful flowers we can see on this card. Just a reminder that, after winter must come spring. It can't be night forever. And a lot of times these resurrections, these things we go through that feel so painful, actually just help set us up for our highest good. And I know if you're in the middle of this right now, right, that's very annoying to hear when we're in it, especially if we can't figure out why we lost this thing we lost or what we could possibly be gaining from it, because, the loss just feels so immediate. But on the soul level, it is a reminder that, there always can be rebirth after going through a hard time. Doesn't mean that the hard time goes away. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. It doesn't mean we're romanticizing it or we welcome it in again, right? It just means that we are capable of coming through on the other side and coming like just kind of growing through dirt into this new version of us. So if you're going through a hard time, just remember it's not going to last forever. Just like every joyful, wonderful experience we have in life, every challenging experience also does not last forever. So if you need a little resurrection energy today, you want to pray for some support to get through this challenging time, this is a sign for you. And again, just a reminder that you will get through this. Nothing lasts forever. This too shall pass. It's not permanent. And also this nice little owl on there. If you want to connect to an owl, or maybe you see one as a sign for you, but just remembering again, this is not permanent, what you're going through if you are going through a hard time. And again, that doesn't make it like, okay, we're not okaying it, right? But it is just about learning to maybe be kind and patient and compassionate with ourselves as we are going through maybe some more challenging times. Okay, so I'm going to pick 3 tarot cards for you, and then I'll do some oracle cards, just give you some little messages to go along with that. Okay, so we have the 4 of Pentacles, 10 of Wands, and Judgment. So group 1, I feel like you guys are really struggling with letting whatever you need to let die. I feel like, so if we're looking at this theme of the Resurrection card, I think, this is really about letting things go and letting things die. And then these cards are really about like resistance to that, because there's some fear here. So this, we know, 4 of Pentacles is really about blocked heart chakra. It's about not surrendering to what's happening, surrendering to the flow of life, surrendering to letting things happen as they need to happen, but instead really clinging to that. And again, blocking the heart space. And then Pentacles does represent physical reality, abundance. So maybe you're clinging to a physical situation that is changing or needs to change, but you're like, no, I'm going to hold on to it. I'm going to step on it. I'm going to like, this is how it is and how it has to be, and I'm not changing, right? And then what happens from that, you see with this 10 of Wands, is you wear yourself out. This is like when we try to cling to things that are actively trying to leave our lives and move on. And so this new thing can come in, right? The only constant in life is change and God. But for the sake of this, we're talking about change. But so if you don't let these things go, you're going to literally break your back, but also emotionally, you put yourself through all this stress that's unnecessary because your heart is like really closed off to a lot of these things. And so this Judgment card coming in here is really beautiful, because I think that can remind us that, so many things that we think are like eye for an eye, like, well, I lost this job, so where's my next job? Or, I struggled in this relationship, so where's my good relationship, right? There's so many things that we think with the human mind is like, has to be this for that, exactly. But Judgment is just reminding us that the powers that be, our higher power, right? All of that energy sees everything that's going on. And so it doesn't need to be, well, I can let this thing go once I have this other thing to replace it. This Judgment is just about being honest and knowing that there are things that come our way in life. So we can learn to let them go, and we can learn to, have faith that, again, divine compensation isn't about like, I did this thing, so I get this thing in advance, right? It's about trusting that, all these things are adding up. God sees everything, right? So everything that's like quote unquote good and everything is quote unquote bad. So all of this is part of like the universal makeup of everything. And so if you've been living in a way that's in accordance to your morals, in a way that feels good for you, oftentimes like our ego wants to convince us that we're being punished if something gets taken away from us, or quote unquote taken away from us or whatever. But anything we lose was never ours to actually have to begin with. And also when we go through this energy again, our human mind is so like, it has to be this for this or this for this, but it's so much more about remembering that we will be offered this back to us. It might not be like, again, a job for a job, money for money, this relationship for this relationship, but there are so many ways we can be compensated, right? Don't just think money, but law of divine compensation can remind us that there's so many ways that we can be taken care of. That's not just this immediate, I did this, so I want this thing back, of just like, well, this was this, so where's this other thing in my life to replace this? And just remembering like on the day of judgment, in our day-to-day lives, like in our day-to-day lives, when we practice staying in our integrity and having a pure heart, just know that, there's no energy that, as long as you have a clean conscience, right, that can also be part of what you need to learn. And there's so many things emotionally that come up when like things get quote unquote taken from us, right? It's like, well, was I living in my morals? Did I have a good conscience? Did I act in integrity, right? A lot of that can remind us that if you have done that, there's no physical counterpart to that, but that still is something that shows us that we are living in abundance and with a clear heart. And so anything that leaves, even if you have been respecting yourself, like just have faith that that is out of there for a reason, right? Okay, so we pause for a thought. So kind of what I was just talking about. So, a lot of times when something gets taken, quote unquote, again, taken away from us, or we feel like, oh, this is so unfair, this is gone, this is whatever. Sometimes, we can just focus on that. But I think you can just really ask yourself here, like, what am I learning? Did I learn to stand up for myself? Did I learn to be kind to myself? Did I learn that I was identifying too much with like, this particular job or this body identification or this type of thing, right? So how can you kind of offer some reflection to yourself here so you can see that these things that, I don't know what's going on, group one, take it how it resonates, but how this, thinking about the ways that these things can possibly, be teaching us or giving us something. And again, this isn't to romanticize it, this isn't to whatever. It could just be like, okay, I have better boundaries now, or I stood up for myself, or, whatever. Just remembering that pause for thought can be very helpful and very just a reframe. And just, if you're having trouble doing that, just think, if I was looking at myself through the eyes of my higher self, my higher power, through God, through my angels, through my spirit guides, what would be the message they could tell me about this situation I'm in right now? And just really trying to connect to that energy instead of, again, like the ego physical reality story, which again, we're not stupid, we're on earth, we know that is part of it, but connecting to that as well. Look at this, perfect timing. So I think this is, again, just a reminder that things don't happen to you, they happen for you. They happen in the time they're supposed to. We learn the lesson in the time that we learn it. There's no judgment. That's just, again, part of life, part of this 3D reality. So if you're kind of going through a hard time, or, you know, you're like, wow, it took me so long to learn this lesson or whatever, just remember everything is unfolding in perfect timing. And again, it's not for punishment. It's for, to help you on your way to your highest good. And then let's get 2 more. Invigorate. Okay, so we have Juniper. So again, I feel like this is just reminding us that, you know, you can tell the story that is invigorating, that kind of fills you up, that helps you feel alive and clear and connected to truth. Instead of, again, what story are you running about, like, you know, this resurrection you're going through, or, you know, whatever's going on in your life. It's like, how can you invigorate that story? How can you tell yourself something that feels nourishing and loving and kind, and like life is breathing into you, instead of like being punished? You know, we want to get away from that one and instead focus on feeling invigorated and feeling trustworthy with what's happening in our lives. Okay, and then we'll just close with 1 affirmation. I am accepting. Look at that. Okay, so a lot of times, you know, we cause ourselves so much stress when we just refuse to accept a situation or what's going on. So if you've maybe been a little bit resistant to, you know, letting something go, letting something die, you know, this 4 of Pentacles and 10 of Wands energy, right? Just pray for acceptance, pray for willingness to be accepting if you feel like accepting is totally impossible right now. And also you can look at, like, if I accept this, if, you know, if I'm afraid to accept this, what am I afraid this means about me because I can't accept it, right? And kind of reframing it that way. And so again, I am accepting. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Happy 2/22. If you ever want any more information about me, all of that is linked below. Thank you so much for choosing to be here, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi everyone, welcome. This is for everyone who picked group 2. So just a reminder, this is a quick 222 reading, angel number reading. I'm just going to give you some nice positive messages, help reaffirm, you know, guide you on your way to do things. So group 2, you guys picked Our Lady of Sacred Union. It's a number 37. Look at this card. This deck is so beautiful. It's so nice. Just the water pouring and the heart space and all of that. Okay, so I feel like with this card for you all, group 2, this is about kind of like uniting 2 opposing feelings. This could be feelings or situations. So this could be things going on simply just internally inside of you. This could be something that's happening externally. This could be something, you know, as we grow and change in life, we kind of get more clear about the ways we might have been existing in like nuanced spaces. And so these things that could exist kind of a little bit separately, the magnifying lens gets bigger and we have to look at with more focus and more clarity than we did previously. So Our Lady of Sacred Union is just reminding us that things that seem like opposites or seem like they can't work together. So maybe we have like these 2 opposing desires, right? So let's say, like, I don't know, you want freedom to be an entrepreneur, but you also really want to work this 9 to 5, or you want this freedom to be on your own, but then you also long for like a romantic partner, right? So whatever is, obviously take it how it resonates. Those are 2 very vague examples, but this card just reminds us that when we go through conflict within ourselves, or when we're trying to piece things together or understand how they work, first of all, sometimes the ego wants to separate them and make them not compatible, even if they are. And second of all, a lot of times it's the ego pushes it into this or that, black or white, when really the sweet space for us, the sacred union space, is more of that gray area. So this card is just reminding us that, you know, when you have your heart and you pour some water into it and kind of nourish yourself and get curious about this, instead of just being like, oh my God, I have to pick one or the other. This is just reminding us that you can find an answer in these 2 things, and they don't necessarily have to be at odds with each other, even if that's, you know, the story you've been told or the way you've been seeing it, or kind of, you know, the subconscious thing you've been dealing with. But just remembering conflict, when it's healthy conflict, even just within ourselves, can help us get to that next layer that we need to kind of like elevate ourselves in our lives. So just, again, looking at ways that maybe you've been trying to force yourself to choose one or the other, when actually there could be some nuance in there, and you could actually be, you know, there can be a middle path. There can be some gray area. There can be some flow between the two, instead of just like it has to be this or this, you know, like just thinking about what are some ways you can pull them more into union, and know that like if there are parts of you that want like quote unquote seemingly opposing things, just remember that, you know, that's on purpose. There's nothing wrong with you. So, you know, it's part of life, and it's here to remind us that we can't, you know, it's the more we grow, the more nuanced awareness we have within ourselves. Okay, so for your tarot, we have Three of Swords, Wheel of Fortune, and the Moon. Wow. Okay, so I feel like group 2, Our Lady of Sacred Union. So whatever this thing I was talking about that resonated for you, this really feels like a stab in the heart. It really feels like you really have to give something up, or you really have to sacrifice something, or you really feel like, well, something's wrong with me because I want this and this, or how could these things ever work together? So it's just feeling like a lot of heartbreak and a lot of like turmoil and a lot of like, wow, this is so unfair, or why couldn't things just be simpler, right? But just again, remembering that we are given all the facets of us that we're given, and it's not to punish us into like, haha, choose one, you know, like our higher power doesn't do that. It's about, you know, how can I make all of these things part of me because they feel resonant in my soul. And then going into the Wheel of Fortune, this is kind of like letting fate kind of play its hand here and letting things kind of come to you. So I feel like to work on this wounding, you're really going to call on some of the Sacred Union energy, Our Lady of Sacred Union, and you can just journal or pray about like, please show me how this could be both things. Please show me what the middle ground is. Please show me what is most beneficial for me and everyone in my life. And once you kind of get into that awareness, and again, not so extreme one way or the other, this Wheel of Fortune can start turning and can start offering you some clues and help to get things going, right? You don't have to do everything on your own. You have to figure it out on your own. It doesn't have to be, you know, all of this, but this Wheel of Fortune does include like some of these external things that can start happening. So you can have, you know, again, this gray area of things that you love and holding your vision. And then we have the Moon, which is about, again, subconscious energy. It's about, you know, Wheel of Fortune and the Moon are both about things happening, but Wheel of Fortune is more about external, and then the Moon is more about like the internal shifts and faith and belief in yourself and trusting your intuition and trusting like, you know, I don't have to choose this or this. How can I make these things work together for me? So again, kind of like, I mean, letting yourself grieve, you know, but also remembering that there is a middle ground for this. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be completely, you know, this one particular way. And that you can allow these external factors to help you, and also, you know, some of the subconscious stuff within yourself to help you get to this place of, you know, finding that middle ground for yourself. The grit in the oyster makes the pearl. So again, I feel like a lot of this heartbreak is around like, wow, how can I make this work? How could it happen? How could whatever? But, you know, it's like when we have to find our footing along the way, what we learn along the way through trial and error and the clarity that comes from taking action, that helps us get to the pearl, that helps us be the pearl, that helps us whatever. But so this is, you know, just saying like, again, we're not romanticizing like struggling and suffering, but as you figure out your footing and as you take action and put in the work, you know, saying like log your 10,000 hours. If you want to see the results, just focusing on what you can control and focusing on how can I have a bridge for these two like seemingly opposing things in my life. This is really going to serve you in the long term. It's really going to help you connect to, again, that pearl energy of just like, you will learn so much about yourself. And, you know, so they're saying like it's as much about the journey as it is the destination, right? So if, with the Sacred Union, if we're looking at this and this opposing things, if it was just this, then there wouldn't be, you know, this internal struggle or reflection or thinking about, you know, what do I really want here, right? If it was easier, then we wouldn't have to go inside and kind of question and get more clear and know ourselves, you know, if we did just want this one thing or this one thing. So, you know, this is just about what you're getting out of from being radically honest and from knowing that this is all set up to serve you so that you can find the things that are a soul match for you, even if it, you know, might seem annoying in the process. It's all there to help you get through the process, not to punish you. oh, and look at this, then we have strength. Okay, so again, this is like inner strength is one of those things where we think we have inner strength, but then when it's like we have to rely on inner strength, we're like, wait, no, I don't have it. It's like when we have to build strength, that's when we're like, whoa, 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 whoa. So this is just a reminder that, of course, going through these things, challenging ourselves, it is going to feel uncomfortable, but the strength we build from it, again, makes us a better match for the thing we're looking for. So you are strong enough to do this one day at a time. It's like, have you ever heard that Mother Teresa quote? Like, I know, I'm glad God trusts me with these big battles, but I wish he wouldn't trust me as much sometimes, right? So this is just a reminder that this is given to you on purpose, and you do have the strength to get through it. And it doesn't mean you do it alone. You can rely on the resources outside of you, on your support groups, on, all of this, maybe talking to people who have, if you have some career questions, talking to people who you respect in the career field, like, strength does mean relying on resources and community that you have, and not just like, oh, I guess I have to do this all on my own. Like, no one's going to help me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, then we have the card Wait. So I feel like, give yourself some time to sort this stuff out. You don't have to know exactly what's going on, what the middle ground is. And also it could change, as you move forward, as you realize some things, as you take different action. Again, the clarity that comes from taking action, like we can't trade that for anything else. So this is really just a reminder that do what you can right now, but if you don't have all the answers, don't try to force it. You don't have to make yourself know, okay, well, I know I'm going to exactly do this, and this is going to be exactly like that, and this is going to be, how it has to be. So just work with the answers that you can. And then I was going to pull one more affirmation for you, and this one flew out. So work with the answers that you have at the time, and then trust that, the rest is going to come through, and don't force it, because look at this. I do the best I can. Really beautiful. This is similar to like the High Priestess energy in the Rider-Waite Tarot. But I do the best I can. This is really just, again, reminding you that you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know, okay, it's going to look exactly like this for the rest of my life, right? This is just about knowing that what you do in the moment, the guidance you get from this moon, from this intuition in the moment, like really is serving you and is guiding you, again, along the path as you take each action. And then those are going to add up to get you to where you want to be going. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is for everyone who picked group 3. So just a reminder, this is a 222 reading. So this is just a reading that is just some nice little angel messages, some affirming thoughts for you, short reading on this lovely angel number day. Okay, so today we have our group 3 you guys picked, the card 12, Our Lady of Peaceful Change. So we have this, I just love this deck so much. I say it every time, but it's so beautiful. So I feel like this is really saying to you, group 3, Our Lady of Peaceful Change, sometimes if we don't know how to emotionally regulate ourselves, or if we grew up around chaos, or we know so much stuff in this society really pushes us into chaos and insanity, and like, just being this like totally unhinged, emotionally unhinged person whenever change happens, right? Especially if it's something we didn't want. What this card is reminding us that if we can tap into like that place inside of us that is perfectly peaceful, that is connected to source, to spirit, to God, to our higher power, to nature, whatever resonates for you, but we can tap into that. Like, so many things don't need to be as chaotic as we think they have to be. So peaceful change can just mean that, right? You can call on your higher power, on your angels, your spirit guides, Mother Mary, whoever resonates for you. But just remembering that, change doesn't have to be this total whirlwind insanity, oh my God, I got thrown into whatever, it's like, it's about finding your center. And sometimes when change happens, we realize the ways that we were kind of caught up in making a home in physical reality, or finding safety in physical reality, when actually the true safety comes from connecting to our higher power, the source within us, like connecting again to this peace inside of us. Peace is an inside job, and then that radiates outwards. And so, of course, we do have, again, we're not stupid. We know physical reality, we need certain things, course, to be alive, but this is just a reminder that when you do have that connection, when you do feel clear within yourself, when you do feel just centered and grounded in that way. So many things that could just could have knocked us off before and made us feel crazy or out of control, just really don't have that type of power to resonate anymore. And so this is just a reminder that group 3, if you're going through something that feels like you feel really powerless over it, maybe you are powerless over it, everything just feels unmanageable, this is just a reminder that you can pray. What's your healthy toolkit, and what can you use to kind of make this change a little bit more peaceful? Just even if you are going through a hard time and a chaotic time, of just deciding okay, well, I do not need to make this be any more intense or out of control. I don't need to contribute any more chaos to this than the chaos that is already happening. So that message is coming for you. Group 3. Oh, and also we have this little baby on here. So it could also be looking at how can I soothe my inner child? So it could just be maybe, some of your inner child wounding is getting activated with some of these situations. So how can you offer yourself some love and comfort of it's okay, I'm going to take care of us. I'm an adult now. I have access to resources. We're going to figure this out. It's not completely chaotic like it was, when you weren't a grown-up, when you couldn't take care of yourself. Okay, so we have the Empress, Page of Wands, and the World. So I feel this is just what I'm talking about. This Empress energy is really about connecting to your intuition, your divine feminine, regardless of your gender. But this energy of just this is my intuition, this is what flows with me, this is what makes sense for me, and knowing that relying on that through change is always beneficial, and just reminding you that you do have this ability to birth some of this sturdiness, this motherly energy, maternal energy, again, regardless of your gender, but just this safe holding, taking care of yourself energy, no matter what you're going through. Because then we have the Page of Wands here, and that's about the rebirth of passion. It's about looking at something of just looking something with new eyes for the first time. So just if you are going through a changing time, just kind of being okay, what, how can I channel my intuition to show up for myself here, and what possibly could it be showing me? Again, we're not going to romanticize this. We're not going to be yeah, I love that my life got turned upside down immediately. We're not doing any of that here. We don't want to spiritual bypass anyone, but this is just about, tapping into that intuitive energy, that mother energy, that feminine energy that we all have, and just deciding okay, well, what's a new way I could look at this? What's a new way I could look at this with passion, with awareness, with understanding? And then the World here, very much just about cycles ending. And so this, as the thing is changing in your life, it could be the story that's changing, or the thing that's changing is the story you're telling yourself about it. So just really using, this intuitive energy to kind of tell a new story, get curious. You see on this Page of Wands, that person is kind of looking with curiosity, what is this? Examining the situation, right? And so the World could be, just changing the whole reframe. You have, was the saying, you have